Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
You're listening to the House of Cards on Facebook, YouTube, and BigPatriotRadio.com. All licenses for music and content have been purchased by and are for the express use of the Big Patriot Radio networks. All information, opinions, and topics are for entertainment purposes and do not expressly represent the opinion of the show's host and or producer. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is Beaufort County's House of Cards. Man, our camera is really goobered up here. Let's fix that. Hey, it's Thursday night. It's right before Christmas. It's Beaufort County's House of Cards. We are glad to have you here with us. I need to really fix something here. Sorry about that. That is horrific. Glad to have you here. I'm Mike Covert, the show's host and producer. Welcome in tonight. We are coming to you live from the Big Patriot Radio studios here in the great state of South Carolina. Glad to have everybody here with us. Hey, get out your phones and take a picture of that QR code right there. That'll get you Big Patriot Radio on your phone. No need to buy an app. It's free. Just click on that right there. It'll get onto your phone. You can listen live at any time, day, night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. BigPatriotRadio.com. Again, just down or click on that QR code right there and you will have it. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight. Why does everything feel so cattywampus in here for some reason? I don't know. It's like the camera and all's backwards. Anyway, hey, take this time to be sure and do a little like and subscribe action, as you see right there. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Click the bell for notifications. All that good stuff. Share this video to your friends and your neighbors and your friends' neighbors. Far and wide, all across the country, around the world. Let them know about Big Patriot Radio and Beaufort County's House of Cards. If this is your first time, well, you're in for a treat, as we're going to talk about 2025 and everything that we talked about over the year. Plus, we've got breaking news in a couple of stories that we are going to talk about. We've also got a guest coming on, something different. We've got a doctor coming on he's a double doctor, 2 doctorate degrees in functional medicine. I think this will be pretty interesting. We all don't like, the jab and all these other, this medicine that's really weird. This guy's going to talk about something completely different. It's called functional medicine. And what I understand about it, which is very little, it's kind of like the why. Well, you had a heart attack. Well, why? Well, your arteries are clogged. Well, why? Because you ate too much bacon. Well, why does that happen? And so that's my understanding. It's the functionality about medicine. But, hey, that'll come on at about the 8:30 hour. So stay tuned for that. Let folks know that we've got that coming. But, again, go ahead, if you would, click on that QR code. That way you've got Big Patriot Radio at your fingertips on your phone or your iPad, whatever, and tune in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is the best selection of news, blues, country pop, and classic rock.
Bringing you the best selection of hits for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, and as always, we want to hear from you. If you've got things you want to talk about, matter of fact, as you hear my list of stuff we talked about over the year, if I forgot something, which is always possible, let me know about it. Just put it in your chat bar, whatever, whatever form, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. put it in there. It'll come to us, and we'll get it filtered out. And hey, I'll answer it, or we'll talk about it, or say, hey, I forgot about that. We want to hear from you, so be sure to do that. Anyway, got the doctor coming on, Dr. Himes, at about the 8:30 time. He is teaching a class tonight, so he'll be joining us once he's over. But first, it's the end of the year, and tonight is the last show of the year. And I thought it would be prudent, so to speak, to talk about kind of like the best of 2025. I guess that's a decent way to put it. The best of. It's all good. All good depends on how you look at it. I mean, it's good stuff to talk about. This isn't, nobody makes the news here because they did something good, which is sad. We need to do that too. But again, please go into chat room and give us your questions, and we'll talk about it. Anyway, right off the bat, one of the top 2025 stories was at the beginning of the year, and that was the ousting of County Council Chairman Joe Passament and Vice Chairman Larry McKellen. They had been chair and vice chair since I left County Council. The new chair, Alice Howard, and the new vice chair is Anna Tabernick. Now, the interesting thing, and what makes this such big news, is that Chairwoman Howard came out in public, which, by the way, is definitely not like her. She's not a fan of public speaking, I think. She's not a fan of media. I know that from being around her. She doesn't do the press very well. But anyway, she came out and said, hey, not quote unquote, but quote unquote, not verbatim. She said, hey, we're going to turn a new leaf. We're going to be, we're going to be so transparent. We're going to hold everybody accountable. I mean, it was, this council was turning a new leaf. I think I heard, blah, 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 blah. And, which is good. I mean, I came out on the show like 3 or 4 times and I said, hey, and I mean this, I meant it. I'm going to offer, her, especially her, but, her and Vice Chair Tabernick, as much grace, offer her the grace she needs and the time necessary she needs to begin to make those changes that are and were so sorely needed to become more transparent, to hold each other accountable, to clean things up in the county. I said it multiple times, totally meant it. And as time went on through the year, that rope got shorter and shorter because it became more evident and more evident that even though I offered her as much time and grace as possible, she just doesn't have the chutzpah to make it happen. So, we're at the end of her first year, and I guess they're running on 2-year cycles. So she's got another one. And there are some out there that are saying, and there are times of this, I agree, possibly, that she may be worse than her predecessor. The old better to be with the devil than you one you don't, and took a chance because what was before was horrible. So I get it. But, here she is. And, why is that? Well, the former chair was very vocal about his non-transparency, even though he never said that. I'm not saying that. But he was very vocal and obvious about not being transparent, to the point where, look at you, the sky, and I'm paraphrasing, the sky is green and grass is blue, isn't it? I mean, it was so obvious. It's, I don't know. He said he was transparent, but that's like me saying I'm skinny. I can say it all I want, but that doesn't make it true. And that's what they had. Now, Howard just doesn't say anything. The backdoor habits, they're still there. We talk about it rather often. She just isn't talking about it. Now, she looked like coming out of the gate, man, she was going to stand in charge and take control. I thought this was going to be a good thing, but it's more of the same. That's all it is. It's more of the same. It's another pig with lipstick this time. The other one didn't have lipstick. This one does. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, a lot, if not all, of the remaining highlights of the year in Beaufort County involve her and or the vice chair, either directly or indirectly. And now, hey, I mean, I like Alice. I like her as a human. I think she's horrible as a chairperson so far. She believes in the people of Port Royal and Mossy Oaks. I think she has, and I applaud her for that. And I've seen her stand up for those folks and demand this and demand that, especially with like stormwater management. I'm with you. She does a great job, but that's about it. If you watch her, and I mean really, really watch her, body language, hand gestures, she's tired. She seems very tired. She seems not at ease where she is at the head of the middle of the dais. I don't believe, honestly, that she has any gas left in the tank. And like I said, she's represented Port Royal and parts of the city of Beaufort well. Well, not really, but again, I'm going to take the high road here. And hey, maybe it's time to bring a fresh face in there. And there are rumors out there that she is not going to run for re-election whenever that is. It's either in 26 or 28. There's a lot of rumors. I mean, that's been around the circle a time or two in Port Royal and in Beaufort City and parts of Northern Beaufort County that Alice has done. She's done. And I respect that, and I understand. I know of one person out there who would make a great representative of Port Royal. Already spoken to her about that. Oh, did I say her? As far as the vice chair goes, look, Anna Tabernick is who she is, loud and proud. She told the public that, you know, that this is part of what she sold. If you don't vote for remember the sales tax referendum that they wanted, on the ballot and all that. Well, remember, she's the one who came out this year and said, if you don't vote for this, we're just going to raise your property taxes. Yes, she said that. Yes, it's recorded. Yes, it's on video. She has also made promises, and this is my council rep. She's made promises here in District 6 that she's never kept. No fire station inside Sun City. Right now, it's outside the gates. Back when I was on council, right as I was falling off, we were getting it moved in. That has completely fallen off the face of the earth. No traffic light on the 170. That, too, was a project working on. She promised to finish it. Take it across the finish line. Promises made, never kept. No traffic light further down 170 in the Pritchardville area. She promised. Nope, hasn't happened. No changes to the roundabout from 170-46 there in Pritchardville, the new Riverside area. Promises made, nothing kept. And if you live in Sun City, she has strong-armed you. Yes, that's right. She has strong-armed you in voting for her because, and this isn't a dig. It's politics. She strong-armed you for voting for her. It's a captive audience because she sits on the board of directors. I mean, don't tell me that has no bearing. Don't tell me that. I know how Sun City works. I know how this game is played. She sits on the board of directors of the largest, what is it? The neighborhood, Sun City, in Beaufort County. It spans 2 counties, 2 council districts, over 10,000 residents, and she's on the board of directors. You tell me that's not a card in hand? Hell yes, it is. Largest voting block in the county is right there in District 6 in Sun City. Sun City has 2 council members. Totally unethical behavior. in my opinion, as far as being on the board of directors of that group, that neighborhood, largest voting block in the county and on county council. That doesn't pass the smell test. But Sun City, you all got blindsided. You were sold a bill of goods, and the delivery man never came. He never came. Again, promises made, but never kept. What I will give Anna Tabernick, Dr. Anna Tabernick, props at is school and education issues. She would be a phenomenal. Matter of fact, I would recommend voting her as chairwoman of the Beaufort County School Board. That's how much she's got going for her. I've listened to her. I've watched her. She would be a huge, huge benefit to the school board. When looking at Dick Geyer and some of these other clowns, except for Victor Ney and Elizabeth Hay and Ingrid once in a while, the rest are clowns. Anna Tabernick would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. I would promote her for that. County council, not her gig. But as we've said here before, I hope she has a lot of money. Her election's coming up in 26. I hope she's got a lot of money because she is going to need it. She is going to have to stroke some major checks. Trust me, I know she is going to need it to fight off her opponent. Now, early in 2025, changing titles, we had the Emily Hollis runaway story from the city of Beaufort. Remember that story? This is the story of a young lady. I think she was like 12 or 13 at the time, and this is early in the year. She went missing. And I'm going to take out like majority of the facts on this and only hit the highlights. So anyway, her parents called it out as a runaway, then changed it to an abduction. I mean, her parents called the police, kid run away. They used the term runaway several times until whatever, I don't know how it happened, but something happened and they decided to call it an abduction. So she was missing for a couple days. And then she was found in Jacksonville, Florida, with the boy who at that time I think was 16. They were on I-95, broken down, found by, get this, someone from Beaufort who was down there on vacation. Boy, isn't that ironic. I'm not saying it wasn't true. I'm just saying the child is in Beaufort, city of Beaufort, lives there. She's found, 150 miles away, 3 hours, found by someone from the same town, little teeny weeny town, 150 miles north. I don't know. That's like way too ironic. Anyway, it's highly questionable, but I'm not disputing it. Anyway, the father and the mother became very vocal here about the police, the way they were treated, especially the father. Very vocal about the police here in Beaufort not being what they considered forthcoming about information. The parents started a campaign. They did a very well job at a campaign of about the police department and the city of Beaufort not pushing the Amber Alert button, and it became a whole big story. At the beginning, what our resource, it sounded like they were onto something here. I mean, we talked to the city of Beaufort officials. We talked to some police officials. We talked to city councilmen about like these meetings Mr. Hollis had where the city of Beaufort police chief, said, why are you here? Why aren't you down there looking for? I mean, very strange behaviors. But the more we dug, the more people we interviewed, and we re-questioned the parents. My feelings, our feelings, the researchers' feelings started to change. The stories didn't align. You keep records, you keep documentation, and the story started to change over time. The father himself on this very show was asked, quote, Emily didn't get abducted, did she? He said, quote, No, she didn't. She left on her own. That's a quote from the man. Then we find out that even though the parents said the young girl this had never been done before, then we find out from the parents that's not exactly true, as she did it the night before. That's right. The night before she ran away to the boy's house, spent the night. Then the next morning, the morning of the night she ran away, the boy's mother brought her back to the home and met the dad. Now, did the city of Beaufort PD completely F this thing up? Absolutely. I mean, they made some major mistakes. I think this chief probably regrets saying what she said to the father in that room around the table. I think that was unprofessional. Did they do the wrong thing by not firing off an Amber Alert? Well, that's to be debated. We looked into law. As a matter of fact, the mother of this child done some great research into law, and I see where there's a debate to be had there. According to the law, no, they handled it properly. Personally, I think whether a child under 18 is running away or abducted, either or, it should trigger an Amber Alert. I mean, that only makes common sense, period. Kids under 18, whether it's a 16-year-old with that 12-year-old, or it's a 16-year-old with an 8-year-old, or two 14-year-olds, whatever. They're under 18 and they're missing, that should trigger an Amber Alert. That's just me. That's where the law is not completely accurate. I told the parents of the young lady that I would make a request to our county's state delegation, to the General Assembly, to get this on the 26th legislative session. That's coming up January 13th is the date it begins. And I held up my end of the bargain, and I've done that. And according to my conversations, that is going to be going through the Judiciary Committee. Now, I lost contact with the parents who, after I brought it out that the father himself said she wasn't abducted, and that was shooting holes in their story. They had accused me of bad interviews and setting them up and all kinds of blah, blah, blah. That's fine. It's okay. The truth hurts. I just hope this young lady, the youngster, the 13 or 14-year-old now, whatever, I hope she gets the help she needs and deserves first and foremost. Sure, the mother and dad may need some help. That's fine, but not before the child. This young lady has some problems that need to be talked about and with a professional. It ain't pretty, as they say. We ran a story on here. I guess it was June 19th. This is one of our sad stories. The story we ran on June 19th was a story about a young lady, friend of ours named Heather Nix, a local realtor. She's a business owner. She and her husband together run two businesses, and they're both good friends of ours. Her story that evening was one of our most watched shows, especially after the fact, on demand. One of the most watched we've ever had. Heather put all of her feelings, all of her life stories on the line, and was out there for us all to hear and to enjoy. Heather she had just had surgery for a cancerous tumor in her brain when we had her on, her and Kenny. Kenny had said on the show how after waking her, or after she awoke, from brain surgery, Heather was a completely different person. She radiated her passions, they said. She was already full of life, very active in their church. But he said, on the show that she had the attitude full of new purpose, is the words he used. Heather had surgery. They found 3 tumors in her brain. one large tumor up in her head and two tumors on her brain stem. They were able to move or remove the large, and they said it was like 4 centimeters, which I believe is about like that, which is large. 4 centimeter brain tumor, glioblastoma, that was bleeding. It was leaking into on the brain. They were able to remove that with no problems. Yeah, they were concerned. Could she, on her left side, could she, raise her hand? Could she blink on her right eye? Was she able to stand? Could she speak? Could she, you just don't know. They found this 3 tumors again, but only could remove 1. They didn't go after the 2 on the brainstem because they were in so deep. And I'm not a doctor, but apparently that requires a lot different atmosphere or preparation or equipment or something. I don't know. Anyway, they sent her home after removing one of them. And the plans were to have the other 2 removed at a much later date, but she went home the next day. Kenny and her said that, when she woke up after recovery, she could talk, walk, laugh, moved everything. She was great. The doctor said they'd never seen this kind of recovery post-surgery, able to go home the next day. I think Kenny had said, he got a phone call and it was Heather saying, guess who gets to come home today? Amazing. Heather's story was so impactful to so many people. She was a beacon here in this community. Just unbelievable. We used to talk every once in a while about small businesses and owning a small business. And the troubles and tribulations and, who's not paying their bills, vendors not delivery. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're selling air conditioners or flooring or finger widgets. The problems are the same, just a different level. Unfortunately, Heather lost her battle with glioblastoma about 45 days after that interview, after appearing on my show. The area, particularly southern Beaufort County, but Beaufort County in general, in Hilton Head and down towards Savannah, was shocked. They were saddened, sorrowed, and just plain sad. And when I think about it, that is exactly not what Heather would have wanted. Always smiling, gift-wrapped energy, all of that. She would want people to be having a good time. Now, they did have a celebration of life, which is exactly what she would have wanted. But leading up to that, she would have been stop. Let's think about the good stuff. She was taken far too soon. Far too soon. Rest in peace, my friend. We did have a couple of shows here in 2025. Matter of fact, it is 7:30 right now here on Big Patriot Radio in Beaufort County's House of Call.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
Don't forget, go ahead and click on that QR code. You can get Big Patriot Radio downloaded on your phone for free. Doesn't cost you a penny. Nope. Listen all day long, all night long. Doesn't cost you a penny. Do it right there. We've got a doctor coming up here at about the 8:30 hour. We got breaking news coming up. It'll be further down my list here, but we're talking about the top stories from 2025. And a couple of those had to do with Bluffton Town Councilwoman Bridget Frazier. This was about her arrest. Remember, she was arrested for driving without a license. Or driving on suspension, not DUI. Driving under suspension, not DUI. In other words, her license was suspended, and it wasn't because she had a DUI. She actually had unpaid traffic bills, stuff like that. She just didn't pay the fine. She just didn't pay the registration or insurance or whatever it was. She just didn't pay it. Anyway, So this, she was arrested for that. We talked about that, her ongoing saga, which by the way, when she was arrested, she got out of jail quicker than any, as I've been told. I've never been arrested before, but I understand there is a certain amount of time you have to sit there before you can go bond out. She broke the records. We also relayed the story of how that happened and who made that happen. You can dig back through the archives and check that out for yourself. Anyway, the problem is with her lawsuit. She said she was going to sue the town if they didn't pay her $2 million or whatever the fee was, whatever she wanted. They didn't do it, so she sued the town. She sued the town. She sued the police department. She sued the cop. She sued the police chief. I mean, she sued DMV. I don't know who else she sued. I mean, I don't know why she stopped there. I'd keep going. Anyway, her problem shouldn't be with the town. Her problem is with the DMV. The police, when they stopped her, they radio in, driver's license, blah, blah, blah. It's a black car, a green car, license number, yada, yada, yada. The NCIC and the dispatcher and all that come back with what DMV or the NCIC or all the other four-letter NGOs have to say about the record of that person. Well, the records came back from DMV that she was driving. Her license was suspended. The officer radioed into the chief to say, what do I do about this? The chief said, treat her like anybody else. Do what you would normally do, which is give them a pair of shiny new handcuffs and take them to jail, which is what he did. The information that DMV relayed apparently was incorrect. So her problem is with DMV. And I said it on the show, and I'll say it again. If DMV effed up, they need to be held responsible. I'm okay with that. $2 million is a little stretch, but I mean, whatever. I'm okay with that because they messed up. If it was me, I'd be highly torqued as well. But the police chief didn't do anything wrong. Matter of fact, he probably did more for you than he did against you. I know he did. The cop just did his job. The town didn't do anything. The DMV, that's the issue. Well, anyway, so did the DMV make a mistake? Absolutely. The information says that they did. Is it Bluffton's fault? No. I don't see how it could be in any possible way. The funny thing is that when she filed the suit, she was arrested in like March or something like that. When she filed the suit after making the threat to the town, and the town just ignored it or whatever, when she filed the suit, it came out, guess what? She didn't have a valid license or registration at that time. Yeah. She was arrested for not having it, but she really did. DMV screwed up. But when she filed the suit, she didn't have it. She did not have a valid license. That's right. But the silver cloud with all this Bridget Fraser saga is that we should have all learned lessons from her actions. What are those, Mike? Well, I'm glad you asked. We all have to have legal and current driver's licenses or identification, period. If you're asked for said driver's license or identification, you have to show it. If we get a ticket and you're not going to fight it, the fine must be paid. If you are going to fight the ticket, then you must go to court. If you have a vehicle or a motorcycle or a boat, a train, a plane, you have to have vehicle insurance. If you have a vehicle, a train, a plane, a boat, a car, a truck, a motorcycle, you have to have current and valid registration. No one, Councilwoman, is above the law. And that's the point of the whole thing is, are we above the law? Is the Councilwoman, is that what she thinks? Is that what she feels? You're not above the law. You have to play by the same rules we all do. Next up, we had a story. And don't forget, we want to hear, somebody's been texting me, but we want to hear from you. If you have a story you want to mention, talk about, or just, kick it up for old flames and shits and giggles, put it on your chat room. Let us know. Anyway, one of the top stories of the year, and this got national headlines. County Councilman Tom Reitz getting, in my opinion, bullied by the local sheriff and the sheriff's department over his visit to the county detention center. No, he didn't get arrested. That's not why. He was visiting an inmate at the request of the inmate's wife. You remember that? We've had numerous shows about this story as the story kept growing and new things were found out and tentacles, stretched and whatever. Again, you see, Councilman Reitz went there to see an inmate at the request of the inmate's wife. She felt he was in bad health and, in their words, might not make it out alive. She felt she couldn't get a hold of him and somebody needed to reach out and, is he okay? Is he alive? Whatever. The mind goes crazy. The story really begins right there because when he went to the detention center, Councilman Reitz, he went in the front door, not the back door. Some have tried to say, he went in the special door. No, he went in the front door. And this is all on camera. It's all on video. I've seen it all. I've heard what little parts had audio. He went in the front door. He wasn't wanded, like the wands at the airport. He wasn't put through a metal detector. His highly visible cell phone, one of two of them, was in his back left pocket. I could see it on the grainy video. It wasn't taken away from him, and his backpack was not put in a secure location. Rather, the corrections officer, security guard, whatever he is, standing behind that plate of plexiglass, placed it with him behind that glass. Now, best of all, get this. Best of all, that guard up front behind the glass in the foyer gave Councilman Reitz the keys to the facility to let himself in. That's right. Gave him the keys to the place. He walked into the back of the jail, walked the corridors unsupervised, even walked into the inmate's cell that he went to see, walked into some kind of interview room or whatever it is, unsupervised. Apparently, there were several, and I failed to count, but there were a handful of officers who saw this and had made notice about it, but only one that I could count that I saw and heard, because you can't hear it all. One actually said, "Hey, you can't be in that cell." And then he walked off. No, not what the hell are you doing here? And, put him in handcuffs and walk him out. Just, hey, you can't be in there. He had his cell phone out. Tom, Councilman Reitz, had his cell phone out. He was taking pictures. He was never hiding it, never intentionally trying to create a false narrative against the officers. Guards and officers saw the phone, but never did anything. The councilman left. When he came back out the front door, or, the entry to the lobby. In the lobby, when he was leaving, Assistant County Administrator John Robinson, who's in charge of the jail, the detention center's he is the assistant county administrator overseeing public safety. Colonel Quandara Grant is in charge of the jail, so she works for him. They were in the lobby together. They had conversation. I never heard anything of the conversation, but about him being in there. But the best part is this. Obviously, you know, what happened from there, John Robinson got a hold of Alice Howard, the chairwoman, and Anna Tabernick, the vice chairman. Oh, my God, we got a problem. Let's investigate your councilman, which we'll talk about what they really should have been investigating. Anyway, the best part is Sheriff Tanner, who was contacted, according to Robinson, by Alice Howard, county council. Tanner had his lead investigator summon Tom Reitz, to the Hilton Head Sheriff's Office. They have a satellite there on Hilton Head to talk to him. According to reports, Councilman Reitz went in. They had idle chit-chat, scores, weather, tides, all that kind of stuff. Then the investigator just goes ahead and says, I need to read you your Miranda rights. What? I need to read you your Miranda. After that, he's advised that the problem really isn't, in the words of the person who told me this, that was in the room, why I really have you here is I need to talk to you about you bringing contraband into the facility. Not the fact that the security guards, the facility guards, the correction officers broke almost every possible single rule from the South Carolina Department of Corrections during that whole fiasco. No, he didn't want to talk to them about every rule they broke. He wanted to talk to them about him. And you possibly brought in contraband. So let me read you your Miranda rights, which that's a whole nother argument of whether that was appropriate or not. Anyway, this councilman, as I've said many times, I doubt Councilman Reitz has ever had a traffic ticket. I know for a fact the guy's never been inside of a jail in his life up until he became a county councilman and got a tour the first time, and then this. He's not, no disrespect, he's not one of the street smart people I would consider street smart. Very intelligent, good man. Jail, not in his persona. That's just not his thing. You know? Anyway, he's made out to be a criminal. Days later, that same investigator, the lead investigator for the sheriff now, lets him know he wants to meet him at some taco joint, Taco Loco, whatever, on Hilton Head to hand him some papers. And those papers are warrants for his phones, his county phone and his personal phone. So let's fast forward until now. And this is new news, not our breaking news, but this is new news. In June, this happened in August, I think it was. In June or July, the county, I just found this out, the county was advised by the state of South Carolina of multiple problems and infractions they discovered inside the detention center in Beaufort County. It is said in those reports that the infractions and problems were conveyed to the county. My question is, did county council get those infractions and conveyances of problems? The only thing I could find is I saw where that the center and or the detention center and or ACA John Robinson asked for money, extra and over the budget amount of money for like plumbing, painting repairs, other minutia repairs. Was that the infractions and problems? Did it get just blown off as we got some maintenance things that came up? Because that happens. Now, again, we also know that the South Carolina Department of Corrections has been notified of the obvious delinquencies at the detention center. Since this whole thing with Tom Reitz, all of those things that they weren't investigating that they should have been, giving him the keys, blah, 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 letting him walk around. We know that the South Carolina Department of Corrections has been notified of all that. And best of all, the councilman was not found to have done anything criminal, according to the sheriff. Now, that same sheriff did say, in no uncertain terms, that ethics department, which I guess that's the South Carolina Ethics Commission, is still looking at some of these actions. Here's the point with this whole story. Instead of concentrating on a public elected official, who, by the way, has been calling out corruption and non-transparency and holding people to account, does the county assistant county administrator and possibly the sheriff, do they feel like he's a problem? Because that's a problem. Furthermore, why do we have these problems at the jail? I mean, I'm talking about safety of the community. Forget all the rest of it. Forget it all. Safety of the community. Because if, the guy at guard number 1 can let him in, and he's not an assuming guy. He's not a powerful figure. He's not a lawyer, doesn't pretend to be one. He's just a normal guy. If a normal guy can get into the detention center with a freaking set of keys and walk around and into a jail cell and into an interview room willy-nilly and walk back out willy-nilly, what about the public safety? What about the public safety concern? That should be number 1 on the list of everybody, from the colonel who runs the jail to the assistant county administrators to county council to the sheriff. Everyone should put public safety first, and they don't. They haven't. The proof is right there. All right, what else? We've had several political candidates on this year. Always a big story. I mean, we've had Nancy Mace, congresswoman for the 1st Congressional District, also candidate for gubernatorial candidate. Nancy Mace, she's been on here like 3 times this year. We've had State Senator Tom Davis on. We've had South Carolina House Representative and 1st Congressional District candidate Mark Smith on. We've had 1st Congressional District candidate Tyler Dykes on just last week, along with candidate for the 1st Congressional District, Dan Brown. They've all been on. We've had South Carolina House Representative and Judiciary Committee Chair Weston Newton has been on the show. Made a stop early on. And there's been some others, and I apologize if I've left you off. It's not intentional. Sheriff Chris Malfris, he's been on a couple times from Jasper County. I'm sure there's another 1 or 2 or 3, and I apologize. It's the old brain only works, so hard. The primaries coming up here in 2026, I believe, are like June 1st, something like that. And we hope to have the rest of the congressional candidates for the 1st District. I've talked to Logan Cunningham. He's going to be coming on. There's like, 6 others than the nose guys. A couple from the Beaufort County area. Anyway, we're planning on having them on. And any local candidates, local county council, school board, sheriff, dog catcher, whatever. We have dog catchers. I have a feeling that this primary season, and we're about to get to that breaking news. I have a feeling that this primary season is going to be a very interesting one. Why is that? Well, everyday folks, Joe and Jane America, as I like to refer, from what I'm told, they're like at the end of their rope. They're tired of this shit. Excuse my French. Hope I don't get demonetized from YouTube. They're tired of it. They're at the end of their rope. You know, they see and they hear about it all day long, every day, on the TV, on the computer, on YouTube, on X, on Instagram. It's nothing but the same ad nauseum, over, rinse and repeat, and over, etc. Now, at least here locally, we are hearing reports, allegedly, local political parties and political clubs. Remember, you have county parties, those are official, and then you have all these little spin-off clubs. The Daltall Club, the Hilton Head Island Women's Club, the Beaufort Federation of Men Club, the Friends of this club, and the Sun City Veterans Club, and all that kind of stuff. We hear these political parties and political clubs coming into playing in the primaries by putting up slates of candidates. Now, that is completely, hear me out, that is completely unethical. Completely unethical. And it goes against every moral fiber, if they have any, of every single political party, except the socialists and communists. We are, and we will expose them if they do this. If the reports that we're getting from inside these political parties, if the reports get that they are going to be playing in the primaries, putting up slates of candidates, we are going to expose you. Which, by the way, we have breaking news. Did I mention that? We have breaking news coming in tonight here on Beaufort County's House of Cards. The breaking news. The Beaufort County Republican Party, when I wrote the script, et cetera, for the show, I was using the words was or is going to. Now they've already done it. They're going to be voting. The Beaufort County Republican Party is going to be voting on a resolution put up by leadership and Kevin Henley and Jodan Lee and anybody else who wants to fall in line there. Tonight, matter of fact, if you want to hear the breaking news, you want your neighbor, you want other people that are in this circle to hear this, you might want to shoot them a text and say, you better tune in right now. So the Beaufort County Republican Party tonight had a meeting to vote on a resolution put up by Chairman Kevin Henley. I'm assuming Executive Committee woman Jodan Lee, and I'm assuming the rest of the leadership. I don't really know. Now, I'm not going to read the resolution as it's a bunch of hogwash, jibber jabber, but I'll tell you the highlights and the important part in layman's terms. Because you see, David Pascoe, who is a solicitor in this state, the first district, First Circuit Court, and is running for Attorney General. If the resolution were to pass, David Pascoe, running for Attorney General, would not be allowed to speak or attend Beaufort County Republican Party events, debates, etc. They are wanting to, in effect, blackball him. Why? Why is this? I'll tell you why. Pascoe ran as a Democrat while solicitor. No hidden story there. He quit. The area that he lives is rather Democrat strong, by the way. He quit that party and switched to the GOP. South Carolina, statewide, Attorney General is a statewide office, is very heavy Republican. Last time I checked, it was like plus 15 or 16 or something. Now, some would say how terrible that is. And I've even said that before. But ladies and gentlemen, that's how this works. That is how the game is played. Jasper County used to be extremely heavy Democrat. It's turning because they've had such an influx of people. It's turning quicker than ever. There is a Republican surge. Matter of fact, I have friends who were on the Jasper County Council that were Democrats, and they switched parties to Republican because that's what they had to do to get elected. The sheriff was a Democrat, now a Republican. That's what you have to do if you want to get elected. I'm not going to go into Orangeburg. If I move to Orangeburg, which is extremely Democrat, as a Republican and ever expect to get elected, that's not going to happen. That's how the game is played. The point of this is, and I have to give props to my good friend Mike Tunner, who I'm going to quote him in a conversation. He put it this way yesterday. He said, quote, all Republican candidates deserve the basic respect and opportunity to be heard by membership. Denying that opportunity undermines both the credibility of the party and the integrity of the primary process. Quote by Mike Tunner of Hilton Head. You see, it's not, I was talking to somebody today, and they're all, David Pasco did this and this and this. I get it. I understand that. It's not about David Pasco. He just happens to be the fly in the ointment that's making this stick. The problem is the people who can vote, we are not children. We don't live in a communist society where you tell us who we can and can't vote for. It galls my behind that whether it's Kevin Henley or Jodan Lee or Santa Claus is limiting who I can hear and decide for myself who I want to cast my vote for. They don't want you to cast your vote for who you want. They want you to cast your vote for whom they want. It's not about Pasco. You can put Charlie Brown's face on his placard. It's the same. He just happens to be the whipping boy. It's not about Pasco. It's about the process. And if the Democrats did this, they have the same freaking basis of being pissed off. We are voters. We are adults. If we want to hear, we do. We want to hear everybody. We want to make the best choice. But when you have a political party saying, we're not going to let you hear him because he did this or this, that's just BS. I have a hard time trusting. It's true. I have a hard time with a lot of trust with party switchers. I do. And that's okay. I do understand the rules of the game. However, all voters should be able to hear and see from every candidate that steps up to the plate. Hey, let me tell you, running for office, that ain't no joke. That's not easy. That's not, hey, I'm going to fill my spare time with running for office. That's no joke. The least we can do as citizens is listen to those people who say, hey, I want to work for you, and here's my deal. At least we can give them the respect and hear them out. But let me make that choice. I don't need Kevin Henley or Jodan Lee or anybody in GOP leadership. I don't care who you are. You don't make my decisions. Every voter should be able to hear and see from every candidate that steps up to the plate, making the decision for themselves. Having a party keep a candidate out and away from voters. What is that? What does that remind you of? Answer to the question, yes, communism. Plain and simple. Hey, have your differences. Fine. Now, if this sounds familiar, it is familiar. It's happened before here in Beaufort County, except this time we are all smarter, and this time a real nasty stink is about to be opened. But I can also share with you more breaking news. This afternoon, Solicitor Pasco and I had a conversation. Not a text, not an email. We talked. he sent me the following message, and I told him that I would read this to you. This is from Solicitor Pasco. Quote, Charlie Kirk often discussed how free speech and debate are the greatest hope of Western society, and that when we silence speech, we destroy our democracy. Unfortunately, a couple of people in leadership of the Beaufort County Republican Party, that's Kevin Henley and Jodan Lee, do not share Charlie Kirk's values. Tonight's secret vote to ban me from debates and rig an election is a futile attempt to protect the liberal rhino establishment. It is a page taken right out of the books of both the National Democrat Party and the Chinese Communist Party. In the grand scheme of things, I don't care because it won't work. However, I am upset that the chairman of the party, that's Kevin Henley, would not allow me to address the lies in the resolution telling me that, quote, the truth, this is Pasco saying, quoting what Henley said, that the truth doesn't matter, nor does the fact that you might be the most conservative person in the race. This is politics, end quote. Back to Pasco. Well, I am running to be Attorney General because the truth does matter. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, end quote. Again, that was Solicitor David Pasco, candidate for Attorney General. So, in the interest of fairness, I reached out to Kevin Henley and I said, hey, I'd like to get comment from you. I will give you the same airtime, the same space, equal, everything's fair for you as I did, this long quote I just read from Pasco. Mr. Henley's reply was this, quote, I don't recall that, end quote. Now, Henley did reach back out after about 45 minutes or so. His reply to me, writing this as if I need to understand his position and wanting me to put words into all of your heads. That's how this is written. Here it goes. Here's a quote from Kevin Henley. And I guess he's talking to himself. This is written whatever. Pasco called you about the leaked resolution, which is a violation of the rules by the leaker. You told Pasco that this resolution is not about a candidate's qualifications. It's about supporting closed primaries legislation and therefore being a party discussion. I didn't say it's politics. Mike, a question for you and your listeners. Do you support the closed primary bill H3643? That's the core of our resolution. So again, I don't know if the whatever person that is written in, why he put it that way, because if he was writing it for me to make a speech from myself, he's sorely mistaken. He's sorely mistaken. You are sorely mistaken, Henley. So let's unpack this. House Bill 3643 closes our primaries. Yes, I'm in favor of that. In title, I'm in favor of that. I haven't read the entire bill. There are probably bits and pieces that need to come out, but that's okay. But in title, absolutely, we should close primaries. Most sane people that I know of are. That's not the question here. The issue is you, Henley and Lee leadership, the Beaufort County Republican Party wanting to not allow citizens of this county to hear the views and topics of discussion by a candidate because you do not agree with him. Again, this is not about the candidate. Take Pasco's name out of it. Shit, put Mace's name in there. Put Santa Claus's name in there. I'm not standing up for Pasco. I am standing up for the citizens' rights. This isn't about the and I told Pasco this when I had him on the phone. I said, look, this isn't about you. This is about the citizen. I said the same thing to a conversation with Mike Tunner from Hilton Head. I said, this is not about him. I mean, I know the guy, but I don't know him personally. He may be the best thing since sliced bread, and he may be windier than a fart in a windstorm. I don't know. I don't care right now. What I care about is that the citizens are being told who they can and cannot hear. The citizens of this county have been getting screwed and screwed over and over by sneaky backdoor politics from both elected officials and political parties. Period. Anybody tells you otherwise, they're lying. I explained to Henley my response that you just heard, that not only is this resolution total bullshit, if he was so concerned about Democrats jumping parties, I asked him, why did you allow Tab Tabernick to get on the GOP race 3 years ago, whatever it is? I mean, she was a registered Democrat in Ohio, didn't become a Republican until after she had missed one election here. She didn't even vote. Then she decided to run for office and became a Republican. We don't register here. She was registered in Ohio. Talk about BS standards. To put a ribbon around this for you, we have a guest coming on about 8:30, but to put a ribbon around this, I was called right before the show and told this meeting, listen to this. How's this for transparency? This meeting, this Beaufort County Republican Party meeting to vote, it was a Zoom meeting. There were 12 people on the call. The votes were done by email. There's no transparency in that. The score was 77-8. 12 people on the call, voting done by email. Who knows what the real vote was? Don't worry about it. Believe me. Trust me, Henley says. 77-8 in favor of the resolution not allowing Pasco on the ballot in Beaufort County. Total bullshit. Total bullshit. That's right. We're calling them out. And again, I'm going to say it again. I dare you. I dare you. You've kicked people out of the party because they go against party standards, talking ill about a party member. I haven't said anything ill will about any party member in leadership. If it's true, how is that ill? But I dare you. I dare you to kick me out. All right, Pine Island, another focal point from news in 2025. We do have someone. Helga, hey, how are you? Wasn't Weston Newton running as a Democrat at some point in time? You know, Helga, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can find that out. I have the ways. Actually, we all do, but I know I can get to that toot sweet. I will find out, and I will bring that back here. Thank you. Pine Island's been a focal point for the entire year. Matter of fact, the past couple years, I think. There's been multiple meetings after meetings after meetings, and slowly but surely the truth is getting out. What is that objective truth? That's what we talk here, objective truth. Subjective truth is what liars, cheaters, and stealers do. That's subjective truth. Subjective reality. We do the objective reality. Well, the objective truth is that something is going to be built there on Pine Island, and people have been lying through their teeth for unknown reasons, and I don't know if it's wealth, ignorance, power, I don't know, and have claimed that the golf course and gate are bad. Here's a hint. The island has had a gate for the last 150 years. Just saying. And another hint. No former slaves are buried there. As a matter of fact, no one is buried there other than squirrels, deer, possums, skunks, armadillos. And this is confirmed by an archaeologist hired by the guy who owns the friggin' property to make sure it's brought up. If anybody's buried there, you got to know about it. Don't want to desecrate anything. That's what responsible people do. Anyway, instead, the lies have been bought, and now they are possibly going to see 150 plus houses, 90 plus docks, 150 plus septic tanks, 150 plus lawns and fertilizers draining off into the river, increased car traffic, increased student burden on public schools to the tune of approximately 250 plus students, a strain on fire and EMS, all going to be funded by higher taxes from the good folks on St. Helena Island. That's right. When y'all's taxes go up, like they have in Dale and Seabrook, highest fire district taxes in the county are in Dale and Seabrook. It's coming to you too, St. Helena. Don't come whining and crying about how you can't afford it. Nope. You've been told for 2 years now that that's going to happen, but you don't listen. And now some of those folks are wanting to know, where did this RV park come from? Where did Orange Grove come from? Why did Yorkie Poo Glover give 100% approval for the Trask family to develop all this land on St. Helena, not Pine Island, but just down the road? Why did Glover turn a blind eye on a gift from Tropiano to build the community center that people on St. Helena have been demanding? And I get it. I understand it. And it was going to cost the people of St. Helena and the rest of Beaufort County zero. He was going to fund the entire thing. But now that cost is back on the backs of the people who live there. All because a Queenie and a Yorkie Poo flipped like shrimp out of the Morgan River. And people want to listen to lawyers from conservation groups who spend tens of thousands of dollars when the worst thing that could happen, Larry McKellen told you all on St. Helena that this would happen. The golf course will be draining internally. The houses will drain to the river. You might want to think about that. There won't be any septic tanks other than the 20 or whatever houses that'll be around the golf course. By right development, the owner has the right to do it. 20 permits are already in hand. There'll be septic tanks all over the place. There'll be 90 docks. The beauty of Pine Island, as you know it, St. Helena, and the Gullah folks, will be gone. You bought it. You bought it. Now, some people have said over the 2 years, we don't want anything. And that is, I understand it, but folks, you've got to grow up and think about this. Someone owns the property. They can do what they want with it, depending upon zoning. If you think the man paid, it's 500 acres. I don't know what he paid for it. $50 million, $20 million, $10. I don't know. I don't care. But if you think he's just going to say, oh, I'm not going to build anything there because you don't want, that's not how business works. If you want to stop anything from being built there, hey, guess what? I guess you round up as many hundreds of millions of dollars and you go float it in front of his face and you buy that island. That ain't happened yet. And it ain't going to happen. Other stories we've covered in 2025. A popular one was the Defusky Island ferry. Major problem. Major. We had testimony from people on the show who could not get back and forth to their homes because of a handicap, and the ferry would not accommodate them. We took testimony this year from people who had proof of contract disputes between the county and the ferry operator, yet no action was ever taken. We had stories and investigations, and some of these are still ongoing, as a matter of fact, on the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation and Executive Director John O'Toole with egregious spending investigations, and a big one where he gave tens of thousands of dollars to a racial-based group, set parameters in place for transparency, then never followed up with those said parameters as the group never met any of the requirements, but they still got the money. Who was at the center of that? Why, Bluffton Town Councilwoman Bridget Frazier. Imagine that. How could we not remind everyone about the mass shooting and murders nearby on St. Helena Island at Willie's Bar and Grill? It wouldn't be 2025 without mentioning that. This fall, 4 people were gunned down and murdered while the business brick and mortar was being rented out by an event promoter. Now, this story went full circle as the sheriff's department went from releasing information that there was like 700 people there. When we learned that the property only has 8 parking spots. Sheriff's department didn't mention that. They said there were 700 people at Willie's Bar and Grill. Well, the property only has 8 parking spots. So if there were 700 people, as we made it known, they would have had to have been on other people's property. 8 parking spots barely is enough space to hold the 100 or so people allowed by the fire marshal inside the facility. The shooting was outside, not inside, by the way. Then, weeks later, the sheriff turned that down to 300 to 350. And it was reported that the person the sheriff's department arrested 30 days after the murders, almost to the day, was also the one they arrested the night after the shooting but let him go. Yes, that was Anthony Freeman. He was arrested the night after for having a machine gun or something like that. Everyone that I've spoken with on St. Helena that lives there, that I've spoken with, said, this is Anthony Freeman. It was like, if I know it, it's a well-known fact. I don't know anything that others didn't know. They had him. They had him locked up on a machine gun charge. So let him out. Let him out. During a press conference, and this is much later, I think right around the time they for the second time arrested Anthony, Sheriff Tanner in a press conference was quoted as saying to the bar owner, Willie Terrell, quote, "We are going to shut you down." That headline made news up and all over, up and down the coast, from left to right, north to south, east to west. "We are going to shut you down," said a county sheriff to a business owner. In the reference to his business of Willie's Bar and Grill. Why did he say he's going to shut him down? Because according to the sheriff, since what was the amount of time? 10 years, I think it was. In 10 years, the past 10 years, there's been over 400 calls for service at that address. Wow. Willie Terrell didn't own the place, and he didn't even own the place. He leased it. But Willie's Bar and Grill hasn't only been there but 3 years. And calls for service in the past 3 years, you can count on 2 sets of hands, from what I understand. So the sheriff is basing, we're going to shut you down because of 400, supposedly, calls for service at that address. When in effect, the sheriff is blaming Willie Terrell and Willie's Bar and Grill for transgressions that happened over 7 years prior to him even being there. How about that transparency? Well, the sheriff's department, forwarded this to SLED, who forwarded it to however this food chain works. He told him, there's going to be a hearing, and actually it was like the next business day in Columbia. And in Columbia, they had the meeting, they had the hearing, and Willie's was shut down. Now, Willie Terrell is, Willie's Bar and Grill has been closed, and it is now going to be, and I failed to write it down, but I believe it is some kind of community center that's going to be at that location. And that is in the Corners community of St. Helena. If you go out there on 21 and you turn, I guess that's Land's End Road, there you will find on the immediate left across the road from Parker's what used to be Willie's Bar and Grill. And I think it's Willie's Breakfast Bar and Grill. That is now going to be, and I don't know the name of it, but some sort of community center. And we'll try to get Willie Terrell on here and go into that and hear about his new venture. So that's 2025. Some of the big stories that we covered here. If I'm forgetting a story before we bring our guest on in the show, let me know. But those are some of the big stories that we covered here on Big Patriot Radio in Beaufort County's House of Cards for 2025. What's coming in 26? Well, I guess the big thing is going to be the election season, unfortunately. Will Beaufort County Republican Party play in the primaries? Precedence has been set that you don't do that. I remember when I was running for office, talking to the party. Oh, not going to get involved in that primary. Nope, not going to do it. But once you make it past the primary, then we'll help you. We want to see are there any fringe groups that are going to elicit and submit slates of candidates? Is that ethical? Is it ethical for leadership of any county party, Democrat, Republican, whatever, to also be involved in a fringe group and support specific candidates? No, that's not ethical. Are there anybody doing anything? Well, there are forms, quote unquote, already filled out, just waiting for it to happen, and they'll be sent in, from what I understand. Hey, Gina. Oh, that's right. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. Golly, how in the world? That is where, at the corner of 21, right there at the Penn Center. Penn Center is just, several hundred yards down on the right, where Willie's is on the left once you make that turn. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. But anyway, those are the things we're going to probably pay attention to in 26. We'll see what happens. There's never a loss of stories, unfortunately. But that is how it goes. 825 here on Beaufort County's House of Card and BigPatriotRadio.com.
Let's go! The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, well, let's bring in our guest tonight. His name is Dr. Josh Himes, lives in Somerville, by way, just outside of Pittsburgh. Interesting introduction and interesting bio for this gentleman. Dr. Himes was a boxer back in the day. Now, to me, he's still a kid, but he was a boxer. This dude must have a jaw like, one of those square jaws, like the beard I'm trying to grow. Golden Gloves champion. He turned professional, had 11-2 record with 6 by knockout, and 2 what I consider them national title belts. He was ABA regional champion and the UBF All-America's cruiserweight champion. Retiring from boxing, Dr. Himes went on to further his education and received 2 doctorate degrees and has become a board-certified doctor of functional medicine, operating clinics in both Somerville and Center Township, Pennsylvania. Interesting, being a professional boxer, getting double doctorate degrees. Obviously, he's got it going on up here. If you stay in boxing, the chance of a TBI is probably pretty high. So I bet he took the safe route. He and his wife, Bryn Marie, 4 children. He volunteers with the Colleton County Fire and Rescue Service as a paramedic, and they both operate a nonprofit, and it's called Fight to Fight, which is kind of cool, where they empower everyday fighters through music and boxing. How about that? Please join me in welcoming to the show Dr. Josh Himes, ladies and gentlemen. Doctor, how are you?
Mike, thank you very much for having the show.
I hope I did you justice, and believe me, you look like a pretty strong guy. I definitely don't want to torque you off. A pro boxer, dude. That's awesome.
It gave me a path in life. So I'm very grateful for my upbringing, my path, and I guess the trials and tribulations to get me to where I'm at today.
How much training? I mean, every day, when you were a pro boxer, was that like, 7 to 7 running, fighting, lifting? I mean, is that like all day long?
It wasn't a hobby. It was definitely a lifestyle. I mean, something I had to live. You don't just wake up and go for a run and you're good to go. Like, it's every day, every hour of the day is going to be something dedicated towards your craft or your career. And for anybody, obviously in general, but that pro level when I got there was just like eat, sleep, breathe it, repeat.
Wow. How do I've always wondered in boxing, I mean, you can't live your life all day long being totally pissed off at everybody, ready to snap. But I mean, when you get to the ring, something has to change. I mean, you've got to get ready to, quote unquote, kill. How do you turn that switch?
That's something that I think is very, very similar to the military first responder craft, because it's a light switch for us. My wife and I have many conversations we've had for the last years over this. Like, it has to be that light switch you can turn off and on, because I like you said, I couldn't come around home and just be mangry and mad, blow a handle off the fuse.
Yeah.
It was that light switch. So I remember happy, go lucky, jolly. And then the moment you go there, she always would tell me, my wife, Bryn, she would always say, your eyes would change. Your eyes would change. So she would know, like, not even like days before, almost like the hours before. As soon as that light switch came on, I was okay. I know it's go time. I know you're ready.
Wow. Dude, that's amazing. 2 doctorate degrees. Jeez. You're an overachiever. Can I call you Josh, by the way?
Call me Josh.
An overachiever. 2 doctorate degrees. Why did you stop at 2, for God's sakes?
Well, I guess that same fighter mentality has never left me. So I fight for now, obviously, my patience, like I did in the ring. So everything I do is, if I could say, balls to the wall.
Yeah. Hey, I'm with you. I was telling folks at the beginning of the show, you're a doctor in the functional medicine world. I may have mentioned this when we talked over email. When I think about that, my primary care is, I think he's into that. He may not know that's what it is, but he's into that. Different medical problems. He's always like, well, we got to find out why. And
I love that.
Dude, I got hives and I'm breaking out and passing the fuck out. You want to know why? Well, you find out, oh, you're allergic to, I don't know, grains. Why? I mean, he's always asking why. Is that what functional medicine is? And if I'm way off base, tell me what is it?
You're so actually spot on. If you take your dog to the vet, they're going to ask you, what'd your dog eat? Has your dog been walking? Has your dog been sleeping? Been lousy, grouchy? They're going to ask those questions. But yet in America, our system is where you go there with sick care. What hurts? Let me give you this for that. We're the same in functional medicine. Functional medicine is where you bridge the gap of like naturopathic medicine and allopathic medicine, and use the latest tools science has to offer to kind of pinpoint the problem and find the root cause of that issue. Wow.
So I have, and my wife and I, we're on the same page with this. Tell me your thoughts. We prescribe to the thought that in America, the number one maker of food products is also the number one maker of pesticides, i.e., we are literally killing ourselves or poisoning ourselves. Do you believe that?
Let's dive a little bit further into that.
Yeah.
So I do believe that. I believe there is such a pandemic in America that's been going on, maybe pandemic you can call it. In 1970, there was 700 ingredients approved by the FDA. Now, that same number still exists in Europe. But that number in America today, in 2025, is about 10,000 ingredients.
Whoa.
So when you look at like a sandwich at Chick-fil-A, for example, a grilled chicken sandwich, there's 40-some ingredients in a grilled chicken sandwich without the bun. With the bun, about 60 ingredients.
That's crazy.
If that puts it in simple terms, layman's terms for us, like how many ingredients are going into a piece of chicken?
Wow. So what do we in you're a professor, you teach, right?
I don't. So I'm a functional medicine practitioner. So like
Okay.
my
So
I have a clinic as the doctor of the clinic.
okay. So when I look at my own situation, my primary guy, tells me, okay, you can't eat this, this, and this, and this because they inflame the body. Tell us, if you would, about inflammation and why is that so damaging to what's inside and on the outside.
Great question. So, as my job, my role as a functional medicine doctor is, again, I'm bridging that gap, and I'm a paramedic because I want to again utilize. I think we are very very well off in emergency medicine. We do fantastic at it, but yet only 5% of medical costs in America equate to emergency medicine. 95% of those are chronic problems. So where I kind of blend that gap from being a clinical scientist by trade and a paramedic, bridging that gap to be a practitioner and tell the patients, okay, arguably one of the root cause of all problems can be traced to inflammation. Inflammatory markers from the brain, from the vasculature, the vessels, cardiovascular. Inflammation can be traced or argued as a root cause of many problems.
Wow. So what can we do about it?
So, I mean, in general, food is medicine. I mean, let's get that right from the start. A lot of food is downplayed in our country, sadly. But what we eat in our bodies on a daily basis is either helping us or harming us.
Mm-hmm.
And we just continually do a fast food because if we want instant gratification, when we get some things now, instead of the least time from farm to table, the best it can be. I always say less is best. So like in a Christian diet, I'm a Christian, and in a Christian diet, I say, if it's going to dye or change colors, it's good. Eat live fruits and vegetables. Eat things that are meant to be, that were God given to us.
Right. Would you say that? I've heard my wife say this, that, and I don't know where she picked it up from, but when you go into the grocery store, only shop on the outside walls.
That has become so now common because many people who are proactive, because it's still the rarity, but people who are proactive are knowing that because they're knowing those middle aisles are filled with the commercialized foods.
Wow. Is sugar a big a killer as it's made out to be?
Arguably, and I can be this could be debatable, but sometimes there's been, and scientific studies have proven that seed oils can be just as bad as sugars.
Mm-hmm.
So, not going to say one's worse or one's better, but if I get sugar, for example, I get cotton candy at the fair, which I don't eat. Mm-hmm. But if my kids were going to get it and they were getting cotton candy, I know the little bodies are going to burn that sugar up fast because obviously we need glucose to operate. Mm-hmm. But seed oils, that processed broken down chemicals from seed oils, are those lasting chemicals that we don't rid like sugar. We're going to burn sugar off. We're not going to burn seed oils off.
Seed oil being, in case anybody's not, it'd be like vegetable oil?
Grapeseed oil, canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil.
All bad.
They're broken down. So not by themselves, the processes that make them, how we consume them, are bad. They become rancid.
Okay. I've had, and I guess, everybody's different. I know the older I get, because of issues, I've been told, well, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. So is that because of what the food was made from? I guess what I'm asking is, here's an example. Flour, regular wheat flour. Can't eat it. Now, if I go to Italy, I can eat it. It's wheat. Why is that? What's the big deal?
That's sad that's the reality, but it is the truth because you have so many people here who are gluten intolerant talking about wheat, and then yet they go to Italy and they're not gluten intolerant anymore. They eat whatever they eat there because, again, that soil depleted environment that we have here in America and all those ingredients that we're adding to our foods, they play a role in us. And over time and time, they just keep on beating our microbiome up. and our microbiomes are so much weaker than they used to be. In 1950, there was a 1% population of diabetics. Now and today, it's about 50% of diabetics in America.
Yeah.
So that soil depletion and the depletion of our vitamins, minerals, nutrients is less than it was years ago. Wow. And not going in the right direction.
So the days when I was a kid, we had the, what was it called? It was like the food pyramid. You know what I mean? I remember seeing some kind of pyramid or triangle. Is that not taught anymore? Is that like way old school?
A lot of things there. Again, that you go back to your first initial point. You said that so many chemicals or so many companies were making the foods when the drugs are in correlation. So back to, again, I don't want to be summoned because of the big pharma and the big companies, but these big companies have a lot more play in the action than we think. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more tying together than we think. Mm-hmm. So the main companies who are where cigarettes used to be the big, like, worst thing in America. Yeah. Now sedentary lifestyles are worse, but those same companies from the cigarette company bought the food companies. The companies who were making the same money, pulling the chains, right, were in the same business. Ultimately is what it is, the business, right? Wow. And how do we make profits from business? We mass produce things. And when you mass produce things, you make the shelf life longer. You put artificial preservatives, chemicals, additives in foods to make them last longer, to remain on the shelf.
And that's not supposed to be that way.
It's creating, again, more distance from food to table.
A banana is supposed to die in a few days, not last a month.
Prime example, yes.
So what do you think about, I remember when organic, non-organic, that was like the heated thing. I want everything organic. But let me ask you this. If you own a farm over here and there's a road between us, there's Santa Claus going by on a fire truck. And I own a farm over here. Like I said, there's a road going between us, and you're organic, total organic, and I'm not. Don't the bees that are pollinating over here fly over to you and back and forth, and we all become non-organic? So is the organic non-organic? Is that bull crap?
If you break it down to that, like that simple science from molecular standpoint, it's very hard to actually trace that back for sure. In general, I shop organic, but I tell everybody, unless you're growing it yourself, it's hard to ever verify and know genuinely.
Are there brands that people should really, look at and pay attention to? Like, I think I want to say, gosh, this is horrible, but we shop at Publix, and I think Greenwise is their organic brand. I think it is. Is there one place you should stay away from, or not?
I try to avoid personally the mass commercialized groups like that. So like Walmart's brand, and I'm not plugging any company, I'm not affiliated with them at all. But like Publix's, Greenwise, I try to go like the best I can. If I can get a mom and pop's company, I'm going to go there first. If I can go to my local farmer, I'm going there.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Preferably, I'm going to shop local.
That's a good idea. I remember growing up and have had the conversation with other people. But, when we were kids, you never heard the word ADHD. You never heard autism. You never heard celiac disease. And now it seems like it's not a day that goes by we don't hear somebody either says, "Oh, I've got, I'm ADHD," or "Oh, my kid's got autism," or "I'm celiac." I mean, is this all part of this?
That is another reality that we're facing, because that wasn't the case. I mean, in the 90s and early 2000s, you're looking at 1 in 5,000, then 1 in 500, and now it's 1 in 32 for autism.
Wow.
I mean, you didn't grow up knowing kids who battle these problems. And now today we have I have so many patients who have celiac disease and ADHD and just so many more problems that were never prevalent as we were growing up. And it's going to all stem back to the diet. Again, food is medicine. And it's not just the kids that just are literally they're eating bad, because obviously they're acquiring these lifestyles and these habits from their parents, but it starts in the womb. what mom's eating, obviously, as she's pregnant for the kid.
Right.
Like, for example, like we know that 44% of the population cannot process folic acid. And yet that's something that's recommended to all pregnant women.
Wow. So the people, for an example, I have one of my daughters, all of my kids are grown. But one of them, the youngest one, has celiac disease, and she got that, and it's an allergic. It's not it's not a fad. It's an actual allergy, or hers is. So, and she got that later in life after she had a car accident, and all of a sudden it like did something inside of her, and it came out. So when someone like her or anyone with celiac, as an example, comes to you and says, "I need you to help me," tell us what it is you do.
So the first thing I like to do is I like to get answers. So in construction terms, I want to gather a large blueprint. So I want to test to pinpoint the problem. So I will do urine, blood, stool, buccal swabs, cheek swabs, everything I can to test to get some definitive answers. So that right there will lead me to help me navigate better, to give them better things to combat the issue. And then if it's a problem where, hey, maybe this is maybe why this is causing this. Let's heal what's hurt. Let's heal these triggers, because a lot of allergens typically aren't transient. They're linear. They're going to stay the same. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a environmental factor or issue might cause that allergen to be rampant, but it's something maybe that was early on was been bothering the whole time, but we never knew about it till then. So I love to test first to get some definitive answers, then I can navigate that way.
So that is to put the pretty bow on this, that's the functional part of functional medicine, the why.
The why, absolutely.
So now is celiac autoimmune? Is that?
I think they classify so many things, overly classify things as autoimmune disorders. Mm-hmm. Things that we don't know what it is automatically autoimmune, but okay. I believe celiac is going to be one of that classifications.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm agreeing, yes.
So things like rheumatoid arthritis, I think, is now considered autoimmune. Chronic urticaria or urticaria, however you pronounce it, celiac, all those things are bundled in one thing, or one like big bubble. Is the food like the number one thing that has to be looked at? And once you take that away, what else do we look at to get those answers? Why?
So ultimately, I'll look at, for example, we'll say blood work, and we'll look at, and Therese, I see your comment there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I lost you, Doc. I don't know where he went. Doc, if you're out there, come back. We'll give him a minute to. There he is.
There we go. I want to come to Teresa's question after this, but
that's the boss, by the way.
Yeah, that's Mrs.
Yeah, she's the boss.
Okay, I know the feeling. But yes, definitely want to jump on her question. But to get back to your question, so the why. Well, example, blood work. We'll look at everything from the whole holistic standpoint. So looking at all these things, we got blood work here, we got urine here, stool here, we have genetic testing here, and we find out, okay, here's a problem here, here's a problem here, this is an issue here, a little less here, a little more here. Once we kind of like, I guess, pulling all these strings, we'll pinpoint an area. Here's the area here. We'll do a 90-day protocol. So for me, it's still fight terms for me. Mm-hmm. So round 1 is meeting. Round 2 is going over results. Round 3 is going to be that 90-day protocol. Then round 4, we get together. How was 90 days? Mm-hmm. And usually today, we have not lost. Our goal is to see a benefit. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's a few points or whatnot. The patient is their best advocate. They know their body's best. More than any doctor can ever tell them, they know best. Absolutely. So when they come back to me 90 days, they'll be able to tell me, I feel better, I feel worse, I feel the same, what's going on. And then I'll get that easy, more just raw answer from them and say, you know what, I see a difference here. I was lacking here. For example, somebody that's a carrier of that mutation, MTHFR, by giving them back the raw material they're lacking, in a few days, they're a different person.
Wow.
So it's once you pinpoint the problem, it's easier to combat the problem.
Understood.
If that answers the question.
Yep, absolutely. Now, blue zones. Do you agree with this way of living, Teresa asks?
I love the blue zones. So my family is from Italy. I'm a second generation, proud American, proud patriot American. My pap immigrated here from Italy when he was a young kid. So it's very, very close to me. My family's from Calabria. My wife's Sicilian. So Sardinia is obviously one of those blue zones.
Yeah.
Like Icaria, Greece, Sardinia, Loma Linda, California, Costa Rica, Japan.
Yep.
These blue zones have similar but meant different diets, lifestyles. But they obviously have a lot of movement, have a lot of family love. They don't have nursing homes. They walk to get fresh fruits and vegetables in the mornings. That's similar. Family love is unparalleled.
Right.
But the one thing they have in common when it comes to blood work are 3 hallmark trio of signs that are similar across the board in longevity. So in terms of longevity, looking in the mortality space, these people have all lived to be 100 years old, hence the term centenarians.
Yeah.
So they have one common denominator, again, because their lifestyles can be different. Some eat Mediterranean diets, some eat vegan diets, they're all doing well there. But the blood work shows the same common denominator of 3 signs, and that's LDL cholesterol, that's HSCRP, and that's triglycerides.
What's the HSCRP?
HSCRP is high sensitivity C-reactive protein.
Okay.
Which is like a vasculature inflammation, back to inflammation being a root cause of problems, inflammatory marker.
Gotcha.
And those 3 markers there are similar across the board in longevity as far as centenarians go.
How could we live like blue zone people? Or is that possible here in the Low Country to live like that?
It's possible for sure. I mean, first thing is let's cut back on stress if we can. Let's eat better. let's enjoy more family time. Let's enjoy that quality of life. All those things they do, we can mimic that. So we can get a better diet. We have to just work for it. It's harder here where we're at.
Yeah.
But I believe as a fighter, it's worth fighting for.
Sure. We've mentioned the word, you've said it a couple times, and that's diet. And I have to ask, is there one diet out there that is worth it, or are they all just a huge gimmick and you just need to eat less and exercise more?
This is a great common question I get so much because I have patients on vegan diets, carnivore diets, every diet you could imagine I have them on. So I'm not either dogmatic in one way.
Right.
I prefer, if I would recommend to somebody like a Mediterranean diet, I believe we're designed to eat all the foods. So not that I'm anti one or pro one, right, but I personally like to have the nutrient dense foods available to me. So I eat the greens, I eat the meats, lean meats. I eat a very diverse diet because our microbiomes crave a diverse diet. If that answers the question.
Aside from the obvious, stay away from sugars and grease and that kind of stuff. That's just I don't think our bodies are made to eat fried stuff. Is there anything else we need to really stay away from?
This might become coin to me if I say this again, but I'm going to anyway. I personally dislike cheese, and my family's from Italy.
Wow.
But cheese is arguably one of the biggest cardiovascular risk foods out there.
No kidding.
And I'm referring to obviously American-made cheese that's full of wax, full of a lot of preservatives.
Right.
But cheese, I believe, is a culprit through so many cardiovascular risk factors.
Son of a gun. They told me that I can't, or I'm not supposed to eat cheese from cow's milk, but goat milk cheese, they said, is okay. Is that am I being fed a line of bull crap or no?
I mean, in general, so when we look at goat's milk in general, so like if you talk about breast milk is the best for you. Secondary, the most digestible milk is going to come from goats because it's the closest to replicate a mother's breast milk.
Really?
My kids all my babies, I have 4 kids. All my kids were transitioned from breast milk to goat's milk.
No kidding.
And it was just easier because I tried first the formula and it caused problems for my kids.
Right.
So then after research and trial and error, goat's milk was the easiest for their bellies.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know that
Fun
was
fact.
I mean, what do you think about like almond milk and oat milk and all that kind of stuff?
Personally, I don't believe you should grind down 1,000 nuts to have milk. I don't think we were designed that way. Again, I'm a very avid Christian, so I think from a simple stand and a simple science stand, okay, we were designed to have milk from our mothers. We were designed to have milk from cows. We're designed to have milk from goats.
Goat, yeah.
If you needed an alternative because you couldn't do it because of allergies, I think coconut milk is a safer bet.
Wow, unbelievable.
Not that it's bad. Again, I'm not no dog in the fight, but that's my preference.
No, hey, I'm with you. You have a website where people can go and learn about your practice. What is the name of that?
It is www.prohealthplace. That's all one word, prohealthplace.com.
Pro Health Place. I thought I did this earlier, but I guess I didn't. I want to put that up here on the screen for folks that are watching now, and even more so will watch here later on. Does that look like it right there?
That's it. Yep.
And so going to this website, can they get in touch with you? I know you got a place in Somerville and in Pennsylvania. What can you do? Kind of like your elevator pitch. Who needs to come see you, and what can you do for them? Oh, I lose him again. There he is.
Technology, not my favorite.
You're located in Somerville and in Pennsylvania. We actually do have folks watching from Pennsylvania right now. What is the perfect patient that needs to go to this website and find out all about you and come see you?
Let me preface first for saying it doesn't matter where they're located at. So what I try to, I guess, transpire and pass to all the patients, we're fighting for our health. First off, we have to fight for our health, but it doesn't matter where you're at, because I don't want anybody to be ever limited to what they can do. So I have seen patients all across the country. Doesn't matter, because we can put orders in, requisitions in, lab work order, different tests from afar. We can do telehealth medicine. We can make things work no matter where they're at. And that's one of the things that we do. One of my, I guess, specialties is hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
Oh, really?
And that's where our goal is to we have patients become their own advocate by literally setting them up with hyperbaric chambers in their house.
Oh.
So we have the autonomy actually to go there to a patient. For example, we just did in Florida, where we don't have a practice at. We went to Florida last month and we set up a grandparent with a chamber in their house. I teach them, show them, train them, set the chamber up for them, and guide them through the process and remain their on-call doctor for a year.
Wow. And that hyperbaric, I've done some reading about that, but I'm not, I guess, because I just don't understand all that. But from what I've read, that is a difference maker to like everybody.
Game changer. Again, we talk about inflammation, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's one of the best ways to combat inflammation? Oxygen.
Okay.
So if we relax it, what's that?
Is it, can you look at it like the oxygen that in that chamber is forcing the removal of that inflammation? Is that a fair way to say that? Or
yeah, so that's a very good way to look at it. So like from a simple science, again, I don't want to get too much of a nerd, but like from a simple standpoint, it's like it's going to be oxygen to pressure, which allows more available oxygen for us to absorb. So as we flood the cells with oxygen, everything repairs, restores, rejuvenates, regenerates. We mobilize stem cells by 300 times each time we go in a chamber. We increase the mitochondrial size and density of the mitochondria, the powerhouse cells.
Yeah.
Everything in our body is being recharged.
So stem cells, I'm asking this because I have a friend who's got cancer, blood cancer. Stem cells rejuvenate 600 times in a hyperbaric chamber?
300 times.
300 times. Which,
on average.
From what, again, simple mind here, but if somebody's got blood cancer, that would be a good thing to Is that fair?
For us, a non-negotiable is hyperbarics for cancer.
Wow.
Because if you and Dr. Otto Warburg won a Nobel Prize for this years ago, you deprive a cell of oxygen by 40%, it can become cancerous, abnormal, free radical. And yet, if you flood the cells with oxygen, it'll halt proliferation and spread of cancer.
Wow. Doctor, you are quite the wealth of knowledge. I'm going to put your website back up there again. I hope people go and take a look at what you got, give you a call, whether you're in Pennsylvania or South Carolina or wherever. We greatly appreciate you being on the show. Hope you can come back sometime. I mean, you may hear from me. I want to check out some of this stuff as we go along our own medical journey. So I appreciate you being on here with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to all your listeners, obviously, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you need something. I will help you guys. I'll fight for you guys like everybody else. Hey, awesome, and love it, brother. Love it. Dr. Josh Himes, ladies and gentlemen, from the back to fighting for your life. I love it. Thank you, sir. Amen. Thanks, Mike. All right, sir. All right, it is coming here. What are we? We are at 9 o'clock. That's going to do it.
Let's go! The station that keeps it rocking 24/7. Ladies and gentlemen, BigPatriotRadio.com.
I want to thank Dr. Josh Himes for being on here tonight, and everybody who was commenting. Some of them I didn't get to. Mike, hey, the new camera positioning. Well, I appreciate that. It's actually it's a little strange to get used to it. But, hey, that's all right. It's all good. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. We're going to take off for Christmas and for New Year's coming up here in next week, the week after. So we're going to be back in 3 weeks, 7 o'clock on Thursday, Facebook, YouTube, and simulcasting on BigPatriotRadio.com. A lot of good stories we're working on, so stay tuned. So what we are going to be doing during this time frame, while we are off, is something like this. I want to show you. Let's see if I can bring it up here. There we go. We are going to be. You should see this up in your. There you go. We're going to be doing some live streaming from around the world on world events. During our 2 weeks off. Right here is a live set of cameras from La Guaira, I think that's how you say it, Maracaibo, Caracas, and Venezuela. We're going to be doing this there in the Ukraine, probably some places in the Middle East, anywhere things are going on in and around the world. We're going to have those cameras up. We are also, we'll be streaming, not only streaming them live, but we'll be having comment, and you'll be able to talk and chat with us live as we go through those. So stay tuned for that. That's going to happen next weeks while we are on Christmas and New Year's vacation. All right, please don't forget to like and share the stream. Click the notification bell on YouTube. And share this stream, this channel with all of your friends and neighbors. Thank you again for a great 2025. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah. And anything else you're particularly celebrating? Have a cold one on me. All right. Until 3 weeks from now, everybody keep your powder dry. And be safe. And as always, watch your six. Good night, everybody.